Hello guys, my name is Balkrishna Srivastava and welcome to Code with BK. So in this video we solve this problem number 3 of LeetCode, longest substring without repeating characters using C++. So before we begin, it is a request to please subscribe to my channel, and if any of my previous videos or if this video helps you out, so please do subscribe to my channel. Okay, so this is the problem statement. Take a minute and give this a reading. Okay. Right, so in the first half of the video we find the solution of this problem, we understand the algorithm that it takes to solve this problem, and then in the second half of the video we code this in C++. Okay, so if you're able to understand the algorithm and solution, you can solve it in any other programming language, say C or Java. Okay, so suppose you are given a string. I'll just write my name. Okay, you have to find the longest substring without repeating characters, and they have given examples of say A, B, C. Okay, so just creating some space between the characters. There is no actual white space in between, it's just the same string. Okay, so the longest substring without repeating characters would be this ABC is one substring with length 3. If you include A as well, then A is repeated. You don't want that, so we don't have this ABCA. That is not possible. If we take BCAB, then B repeats. We don't want that again. Okay, so BCA is another string but not BCAB. Then if we take CAB, this is also okay, but CABC is not okay because C and C will fall together in the same substring. Alright. Similarly, if you take BC, it's okay, but if you take BCB, it's not okay because B is repeating. Okay, so this is the problem statement. So you have to find a substring. A substring is a continuous part of a string. So if you want to understand more, you can follow this link to find what a substring is. Okay, and it should not have repeating characters. Alright. So in my name, if I write this again, BALKRISHNA, okay, B, then A, then L, then K, then R, then I, then S, then H, then N. Okay, this is going to be the longest substring without repeating characters, because if I include the last A as well, this A and this A clash. Okay, so this is going to be my longest substring without repeating characters. All right, this is the problem statement. Now how do we solve this? Let me just consider this first example. A, B, C, A, B, C, B, B. Okay, there is no white space in between. I'm just giving some space between characters. Okay, so for this string, the indices are going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I'm going to start my I at 0 and my J at 1. Okay, so the substring that I will be observing, okay, through my iterations will be between I and J. So substring between I and J. Okay, so the length of the substring that I'm observing will be J minus I. Okay, because when I'm starting with the first character, I is at 0, J is at 1. 1 minus 0 will give you 1, which is this substring, just the character A, the first character. Okay, so starting with I equal to 0 and J equal to 1. Okay, since we want to find the longest substring, we try to move J as far as possible without having a repeating character. Okay, so we try to move J as far as forward possible. Okay, move J as far as forward possible. Okay, so that the length, which is J minus I, increases. Okay, because we want to find the longest substring without repeating characters, making sure no chars are repeated. Okay, this is the idea. We'll see how we do this in code. Okay, so in this case, I is at 0, J starts at 1. Okay, A and B, if I take counts, A comes once, B comes once. Okay, then C comes once, and then A comes again. A is already there, we don't want repeating characters. So J, the maximum distance that J can cover from I is going to be till this, which is this part. Okay, so J stops here because this character is already included in this substring between 0 to 2. Okay, so starting with I equal to 0, J at 1. We move J as far as forward possible from I. Okay, so that the length of the substring, which is J minus I, increases, making sure no characters are repeated. So starting from A, B was not there, C was not there. When A was there, we stopped. Okay, so the length right now is L is J minus I. 3 minus 0 equal to 3. Okay, so we start with L equal to 1 and L stores the length of a longest substring without repeating characters. Okay, so we say update L. Okay, that is if j minus I, which is the length of the current substring without any repeating characters, is greater than L, set L to j minus I. Okay, what next? So we have I starting at 0, j going forward, j moving forward as long as no repeating characters. J stops at this A because this A is going to be repeated because we already have A in our current substring. Okay, so what we do is we remove this A from our current substring. That is, we simply say move I forward. Okay, move I forward. Okay, so I was starting at 0, now I starts at 1. Okay, so think of I and j as two pointers that define the boundary of the substring that we are trying to find. I starts at 0, j starts at 1, j goes forward. Okay, if j cannot go forward, I goes forward again, and then we repeat the same process of j trying to go as forward as possible, as long as no repeating characters are being added to our current substring. Again, if j stops because we have a repeating character, we move I forward, and then this process continues. Okay, so j tries to go away from I as far as possible so that we have the longest substring possible, and if it is not possible, we remove one character at a time from I, moving I forward, and then try to take j forward again. Okay, so move I forward. All right. Okay, so A is gone now. Okay, and I is at 1 and j is at this 3. Okay, all right. So the current substring in consideration is only this part, indices 1 and 2. We do the same thing again, move j far as forward as long as possible, making sure no repeating characters. So A is now not included in our substring. So B once and C once, then now we can include this A. So A once again. Okay, j comes here, j becomes 4. Here we have B. B is already there, again same thing, we stop. Okay, again we have L as j minus I, j equal to 4, I equal to 1, 4 minus 1 equal to 3. The length of the current substring is 3, which we update here again. Okay, and then we again move I forward. So this B is removed from our current substring and I comes here. So we have I equal to 2 and j is at 4. This is your substring in consideration. Okay, C and A, indices 2 and 3. Same thing again. At index j, B can be included, yes, because we only have C and A, so B equal to 1, B comes once. Okay, so j comes here, j becomes 5. Can we include C? No, because it is already added. Again, we stop and our current substring is this with j 5 and I 2. J is 5, I equal to 2, L is 5 minus 2 equal to 3, which we update here. Okay, so the jth index will not be included because j will stop at the index where we have a repeating character. Okay, and how long this will happen? This will happen while j is less than length of the string s and I is behind j. If I crosses j, then there is no point of our substring, right? Okay, so as long as this is happening, we do these 3 steps. Okay, and finally return. Okay, starting with this initialization. All right, so the idea of a substring is not actually creating a substring, it is just the substring between two indices I and j. All right, so this is a basic algorithm that as long as j is valid and I is less than equal to j, starting with I equal to 0, j at 1, your length, which will eventually store the length of the longest substring without any repeating characters, is 1. We move j as forward as possible, okay, making sure no characters are repeated, okay, and then update L and move I forward. Okay, so you need some way to keep track of the characters that are a part of your current substring so that you do not add a character that is being repeated. Okay, for this in C++ we will take an unordered set. Okay, because we just want to insert, find and remove. Okay, so as and when our j keeps moving forward, we keep adding the character at jth position to our unordered set. Okay, And when we move I forward, we remove the character at ith index from our set, because that character is no more part of our substring, current substring that we are taking in consideration. Okay, so if I have an unordered set, okay, in this part of the algorithm, we keep adding the character at jth index to a unordered set, okay, in this first step. And in this step, we remove the character at ith index from our unordered step. All right, so let me just write the algorithm in our solution, copying this function which we have to complete. Okay, so I'll be needing an unordered set. Okay, so in my function, do we have blank? Yeah, we have blanks. Okay, so for blank, the return value is going to be 0. So if the string is blank, return 0. So if s dot length is equal to 0, return 0. Else if the string has only one character, if s dot length equal to 1, so the substring maximum, the longest substring can be of length 1 only. Okay, so you can also combine these two conditions into one, s dot length equal to 0 or 1, you return s dot length. Okay, now we come cases for length greater than equal to 2. Okay, so we have int I equal to 0, int j equal to 1, int l equal to 1, which will eventually store the length of the longest substring without repeating characters. Okay, as long as j is valid, so while j is less than s dot length and I less than equal to j. The first part was move j as forward as possible without adding any repeating characters to our current substring. Okay, update l, okay, and then move I forward. Okay, so we will need a set, I'll say unordered set, that set of type char, we'll say unordered set. Okay, all right, now we need to use this unordered set for these three steps. Okay, so we try to move j as forward as possible without any repeating characters. So let's just add the first character dot insert, okay, which is s of 0 I. Okay, add the character which is the part of our current substring, and our current substring is basically just the first character of the string which is at index 0. Okay, that's why j minus 0 will give you, j minus I will give you 1, and my length is 1 as well. Okay, now what do I mean by moving j as forward as possible? So this is going to be the stopping condition. We try to go to the length to the end of the string, and without adding any repeating characters. That means whatever character is at jth index, we add it only if it is not a part of our unordered set, because our unordered set is basically storing all the characters of a current substring. Okay, so we say unordered says dot find the current character which will be at index j, okay, should not be found, so the return value should be dot end. Okay, because it's a container, right? If the iterator is not found, it returns the end of the container. Okay, as long as this is happening, the jth character can be a part of our substring, so we add that character to our unordered set. Okay, we say s of j and we move j forward. Then we have to update l. So updating l means here I is fixed and j is increasing, right? So the length of the current substring in consideration is j minus I. So if j minus I is greater than l, I will update l to j minus I. Okay, because it is the length of my current substring and I'm trying to find the length of the longest substring without any repeating characters. Okay, all right, now we come to this third step, and we have this third step because if you remember, after adding a, b and c, we cannot add a again. Okay, because it will be a repeating character. So we remove the character a so that we can add a again, and maybe we have more characters which are not repeating. Okay, so the idea of moving I forward is that J stop because we found a character that was repeating. So somewhere in my current string, current substring, I need to remove that character so that J can move further forward. That's why we keep removing a character at ith index one by one. So I say first I remove it from the set dot erase. Okay, and I say this character s of I, and then I move I forward. Okay, and then eventually return L, and this is my algorithm. Okay, all right, let me just take a few strings and test this. So I've taken a few strings, included this include vector on top, and for each string I'm going to run this function to find the length of the longest substring. Okay, so compile and run. Okay, so for abcd is going to be 5 because they're all non-repeating. Okay, for this second case, the case that we discuss is going to be 3. Okay, then for the third case it is going to be 1. For the next case it is going to be 3 again. Okay, and for this case it is going to be 9 because when you start with b you can go till n without any repeating character, and then a comes again. Okay, so this is going to be 9. All right, so let me just test this now. Copy, go to the function. Okay, indentation is fixed. Let me just test this first. Okay, and then submit. Okay, so if I click on analyze complexity, it is on, which is what we want. Okay, all right, so this was the solution to your problem. Find longest substring without repeating characters in C++. Okay, I hope you like this video and this was helpful. So if there is any doubt, there's a part you don't understand, please let me know in the comments. I always try to answer all your comments, and you can also let me know in the comments if there's a question you want me to solve, or if there's a concept you want to discuss. So please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and thank you for watching.